Veni Creator Spiritus, mentes tuorum visita.
The world doesn't need what women have. It needs what women are. Fidelis Est. Hi, my name is JACQUELINE Debs. I am a member of Chaste for Love movement, and I thank you for being a part of our conference, Semper Fidelis Est Christus. The topic I will speak on today is the dignity of being a woman. We live in times of cancel culture, but the worst canceling has got to be the canceling of femininity and masculinity. But in light of that, the church tells us to keep our eyes set on Christ because He is always faithful. And so our response has to be based on truth and in our fidelity to Christ. The ideas I'm going to share with you today, I have taken from St. John Paul II the Great, St. John Paul II the Great, and from Saint Teresa Benedicta of the Cross, better known as Edith Stein. Edith Stein was born in a Jewish family, a devout Jewish family. She was converted to Catholicism after reading about Saint Teresa of Avila, and then she was captured. She became a philosopher in her native Germany, and she was one of the brightest minds. It's one of the brightest minds the church has. And when she was studying philosophy, she read about Saint Teresa of Avila, converted to Catholicism, went into the Carmelite convent, and the Nazis snatched her from there, took her to the concentration camps, and killed her in the gas chambers. And in 1998, the church recognized her sainthood, and now she is Saint Teresa Benedicta of the Cross. But before all of that, God had already given her this image, this vision of true womanhood, of femininity, of the feminine genius, how St. John Paul II calls it, the feminine genius. Saint Teresa, or Edith Stein, she wrote a book. She wrote 7 essays on women, and I wholeheartedly recommend that you read them, especially if you're a woman. It doesn't matter what age you are. You could be younger or older, and we all need to learn more about who we are as women, and who better to learn from than from the great teacher, philosopher, and inspired woman, Edith Stein. In his letter to women, John Paul II vehemently condemns the injustice perpetrated throughout history against women, precisely just because they're women. That has happened because the understanding of the feminine sex continues to be devalued, misunderstood. And so those injustices gave way to what we know as the feminist movement, which began justified. It began well. One of my heroes is Susan B. Anthony, who was one of the pioneers of the feminist movement in the United States. And everything began the right way, the way it should. And so, but something happened. Something happened, and it was corrupted. It's a system that has been corrupted to the point where it has become a judge and executioner of women, of their children, and of women's very nature. Edith Stein called this movement, this feminist movement, without values, divine and human values. So it's devoid of human and divine values. And that is why it was corrupted. That is why it has degraded women instead of elevating women. So the movement really is the culprit for many things that degraded, corrupted feminist movement is the culprit for many of the injustices we see today against women. And I'm going to name just a few. First and foremost is the silent holocaust of those unborn children, of the preborn children, through abortion. The disintegration of marriage because of infidelity, because of violence, and also because of a contraceptive mentality that allows spouses, or rather does not allow spouses to see each other with love. Rather, they see each other as objects of pleasure to be used instead of people to be loved. Another consequence is the human trafficking, of which 71% are children and women who are being trafficked around the world. And another consequence is the astronomical incidence of sexual violence, mostly against children, but of course adults as well, especially women. So that has risen tremendously. And now it is more and more widely accepted, culturally accepted, socially accepted, aberrations like pedophilia and others. And all that I propose is because of this corrupted feminist movement. And this is a movement that at its time condemned, even in the 1940s, in her time. She said that this is a movement, this is a system that wants to reduce all individuals to mere atoms in a great mechanically regulated economic mechanism. It's a system that goes against every supernatural and spiritual element of men and women. And then she said that the solution is our Catholic Church. She said, against these currents of our times, there is no other bulwark today than the Catholic faith. So, yes, this is a problem that exists. It was born out of the injustice against women. So our response is to understand women's true nature. That's our response. So, as much as we would like to erase, or the culture would like to erase, this differences between men and women, they can't. They can't, because it is written in our inmost being, in our own DNA. If it is true, and it is, that every cell in a woman's body is a feminine cell, and every cell in a man's body is a masculine cell, then how can we not believe that our soul and our own purpose of being are also defined by our sexuality? And for women, it is defined by their feminine sexuality. So I really believe that the first conscious act of submitting to the will of God, of doing the will of God, in our response of gratitude and love for our lives, is to accept our sexuality. Because God told us that He knew us from the moment He created us in secret, in our mother's womb. And so He knew me as Jackie, He knew Jackie, and He knew you as you. So accepting who we are, our feminine nature, that is inscribed in our bodies, that is our first act of accepting God's will, our first conscious act of accepting God's will. So what makes a woman is so much more than her body. However, all the attributes and all the qualities, all the feminine qualities that make a woman, right, are inscribed in her body. Our femininity is inscribed in our bodies. So that expression, that complementary expression of who we are in our bodies, for men and for women, is meant to image God, who created us in his own image and likeness. To image God as the giver, the creator, and to image God communion, the communion that is the family of God, the Holy Trinity. So St. John Paul II says that the special qualities of a woman reveal her mission as a woman. He says that the mystery of femininity is manifested and is revealed in its depth through maternity. And what John Paul II means here is not just the physical maternity or pregnancy or the ability of a woman to be pregnant and to nurture life within her, another human life within her, but the essence of a woman, her entire essence. So which ones are those special qualities that women embrace, that women have, that give women that maternal essence, which is only of women, which is inherent to her femininity? Edith Stein said, women naturally seek to embrace that which is living, personal, and whole. To cherish, guard, protect, nourish, and advance growth is her natural maternal yearning. She calls it a yearning, and it's true. So that yearning that we feel, it's something that we live. That's how we live as women, with that internal, interior, deep yearning. And that is a mystery in itself. And that's one of the qualities that John Paul II says that we women have, that identify us, that actually make that feminine, that maternal essence be feminine and not masculine. So mystery, women are a mystery. And that is not just a phrase. We are a mystery because God created us in a way where we can hold profound truths, profound realities within our hearts, even within our bodies. The reality of conception, the sublime truth of the creation of a soul is deep inside, happens deep inside a woman's body, right? That is part of that mystery that women hold. But the greatest thing is that John Paul II says that women are the masters of their own dignity. We are the masters of our own dignity. And so we revealed our mystery to whomever we want. And what happens is that sometimes because we have that yearning that is inherent within us, if we are not valuing our gift, if we don't understand our gift, we run to reveal our mystery to everyone, people who don't deserve it. So it is okay to keep that mystery inside and to reveal it only to those who are worthy of that mystery, to that person that is going to love you for who you are, that is going to show you true love, because they're going to help you in your walk in holiness. They're going to help you whenever you need to. Just what true love is. That person is willing to sacrifice themselves for you. And when you see that, that is really a key. That is key in saying, I'm going to reveal that mystery to that person. And so again, it's very important to know that we are not, even though we have that yearning to reveal that mystery, and that yearning comes from the second quality, the second gift, which is the capacity to the openness and receptiveness of women. That is the second gift. And so that openness and receptiveness prompts us to reveal our mystery. But if we value our mysteries, we understand it, if we understand this gift of femininity, and we know what it is for, then the whole sense of mystery and of being a master of our own dignity and of mystery is going to guard that openness. It's going to guard that receptiveness. So it is not just either rejected or misused. And what are the ways that our receptiveness is rejected by men and women and misused? Well, I could think of when we don't think that we're worthy of love, and so we accept anything as love. We accept abuse, we accept lies that really hurt us even more. And those deep wounds bring us to not trusting others, which is a key element. It's key in our relationship with others to be able, it's key in love to be able to trust. That is a very important aspect of entering into a loving relationship, to be able to trust. But because we have been wounded, then we don't trust. And so all our relationships are then affected. And so the lack of trust, not only in others, but in ourselves, in our intuitions, in our strengths, in our gifts, and of course in God. Another way that we are rejecting the gift of openness and to being receptive is when we are using contraception to suppress our fertility, which is the ultimate sign of our gift of openness and receptiveness. And we do this by taking unnatural things that are going to hurt us, are going to hurt our bodies, are going to make us sick. Some instances we have to mutilate ourselves, like with sterilization. And then always the end result of this, little by little, is going to be poisoning of our femininity, to the point where we are going to reject our own children in the womb. And so that is a direct outcome of women rejecting their gift of openness and receptiveness. So purity is the answer to all of this. St. John Paul II says that purity is the glory of God in the body, through which it is manifested masculinity and femininity. Our femininity is a manifestation. If it is pure, if we live it with purity, it is a manifestation of the glory of God. And so that is food for thought. That is very profound. That our own femininity, our own womanhood, is a manifestation, if lived in purity, of the glory of God. Or we can say that the gift of the virtue of chastity, which builds purity, which purifies us, which gives us a pure heart, a pure mind, a pure body, is essential for our femininity to manifest the glory of God. And another and one last gift of one of those qualities that is just intrinsic to femininity is the capacity to relate with others. Edith Stein says that the woman's soul is fashioned as a shelter in which other souls may unfold. What more to say, right? Is there anything else to say? So our soul is fashioned as a shelter. And what makes it so is really the way that our body is built, our intuition, the fact that our brains are different. They're the same. Women and men have the same brain. They don't look any differently, but there's certain areas in women that are more developed than in men's. And guess which areas are those? The emotions, where we cultivate emotions, where we store memories, where we relate with others, in the area of language and hearing. Those are greater areas because you need all those things in abundance to become like an emotional detector machine. So that's who women are. We have more, a greater ability biologically to empathize with others, to relate to others, to give shelter to others. And that is that capacity to relate to others. Now imagine, doesn't the world need that? Don't we need those gifts in every single area of our lives? With our relationships with others, within our marriage, with our families, our children, in our places of work and of worship, in our ministries, in leadership positions, in any position. Those are amazing, super important qualities and tools to have to make something, to make the world go round, to make things work. And imagine when we do not give a space and the ability to women, and I'm speaking to men right now, who have the power to empower women, to elevate women, to dignify women, precisely because of the gifts of what they bring to the table. And so, yes, women are can today work in many areas, in many different areas, and can do all things that men can do. It's not like they're prevented, at least in our society. But are the doors open for them? Do we understand what women can give, can contribute in relation to those gifts that she and only she has? So I always think that women have, if we don't do that, then we are denying 50% of success, because women bring 50% of success and men bring the other 50% of success to a venture because of our complementary nature and our complementary gifts. So that's something that we need to think about. And so just a final word from a message from Second Vatican Council. And it says that this is a time. This is a time where women's gifts and vocation, that maternal vocation and mission that St. John Paul II talks about, this is the time for women to be allowed to contribute, to put those gifts into action, to save a humanity that is mutating. These are the words of the council. A humanity, it's going through a mutation so deep that only women filled with the gospel, with the spirit of the gospel, can actually come to its aid because of those special qualities that women have. Okay, friends, so if you have any questions about this topic or any topic that you have heard at this conference, please feel free to write to us at Gastos por Amor, and we will make sure to try to answer you to the best of our abilities. So I thank you for spending this time with me. I hope that this has been something that has inspired you to grow in holiness, to accept and love and be joyful about your femininity, and to have a heart filled with gratitude to our loving Father who created us women. Thank you. God bless you. May God keep you in His sacred heart.